As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
Now, this is an interesting one. I've got Mark Stoops as my winner. Now, here's the deal. I found out yesterday Coach Stoops was on the show. We were asking him what all OU games he's going to go to, and he said he plans to make all of them, except in week 2, if they get a win in week 1, Mark Stoops has a chance to become Kentucky's all-time winningest coach. And Coach Stoops is going to go to that game if that happens in week 2, and it'll happen at some point this season. I'm sure of it. Week 2, they happen to play Youngstown State. It all goes back to Youngstown for the Stoops boys, always, no matter what. Now, here's my question to you. Do you know who currently is the all-time leading or all-time winningest coach for Kentucky?
Kentucky football?
Kentucky football.
No. This is gonna be an obvious answer. It's like a big coach that went somewhere else afterwards.
Yes.
Give me a hint. It's got to be old. I mean, it's got to be back in the day because until Mark got there,
he left the program in 1953.
Bear Bryant?
Yes. Bear Bryant.
Wow, what a fun fact.
Yes. And Coach Stoops, like Tyler on the show said, "Hey, trivia, Teddy, do you know who the all-time winningest coach at Kentucky was?" I said, "Hell, mummy." I had no idea who it was. Yeah, Bear Bryant is the all-time winningest coach. There's a couple of interesting notes here. He left Kentucky because he said they're always going to be a basketball school, and he had a falling out with Rupp, who was the basketball coach.
Yeah, and their basketball arena is named after.
Yeah, had a falling out with the basketball coach and left after going 10-1. Went 10-1 in 53 and left. So in 1950, they were 11-1, and some of the organizations have them with a national championship, and we won it that year too. So split title with Kentucky in 1950 with Bear Bryant, which is interesting. But I thought the fallout with the basketball coach Rupp was awesome, considering the stuff going on with Calipari here recently. Now, here's another interesting thing about Bear Bryant, which so he coached 425 games in college. He was 323, 85, and 17. And I looked it up, and I was just like curious about his whole record. He had one losing season his entire coaching career. It was at Texas A&M.
I bet that brought you unimaginable joy.
I was laughing my ass off. His first year at Texas A&M, they were 1-9. So funny.
That's good. What an educational winner of the week. How about that, people?
I know. I just thought I had to get that out there because I think it's so cool that that he's got a chance to be Kentucky's winningest coach. I mean, I know it's Kentucky, but hey, when you're passing Bear Bryant on a list as winningest coach somewhere, that's a pretty big deal.
There's no doubt. Yeah, that is a big deal. I will say this. I'm looking at Kentucky's schedule right now. Week 2 is not Youngstown State.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
That's week 3. Guess who they have week 2? Florida.
That's what I
on
was
the
thinking.
road.
Florida. Yes. Okay. So maybe that's why coach is going maybe to the Youngstown game. I don't know, but I still like them against Florida too.
Yeah.
They're going to be good.
They've been a better program than Florida.
So. Experienced quarterback, going to be really good on defense. So yeah, but that'll be a great game.
All right. Who do you have as your loser of the week?
I went with Florida A&M. Now, we saw this deal in week 1 that they had 26 guys out because of being ineligible. Well, it turns out that Florida A&M, the players were really, really close to not even playing that game. They were going to refuse to play in that game. And whenever you see what's come out, they put a letter together. They're going after the university. A couple of guys have only decided barely to stay there. They were going to leave. It's crazy. The university didn't have the proper compliance. Like, all these guys took the classes that they were told to take, passed the classes they were told to take, and still became ineligible because the university doesn't have the right people in compliance and haven't put the right money into some of these different departments. And they're about to have a mutiny on their hands there with their football team. They decided to go ahead and play reluctantly, but they're not playing for Florida A&M. They say they're playing for their teammates, their families. They're not taking part in any of the school stuff. They're taking a knee during the school songs. Got a beef going on there between the players and the administration.
Yeah, and I will say they represented themselves well against North Carolina.
Right? Yeah, without their 2 best players who were ineligible because of this stuff.
Like a guy like Isaiah Land, remember, I think he was FCS Defensive Player of the Year last year.
Yeah, he had I think he had 19 sacks or something crazy.
He clearly, he's got what it takes to play in the NFL. I can't imagine how pissed off he is to miss the opportunity to get stuff on film against a team like North Carolina.
Yeah. He's got a lawyer. He's trying to get the appeal. And the thing I read said they were hinting at maybe suing the university.
Yeah. If I was Isaiah Land, I'd be like, hey man, that was a huge opportunity for me to show what I could, like, how much money did you just cost me? Like, how did you just affect my draft position by you guys advising me improperly and making me ineligible?
And here's a guy that thought he was in the transfer portal and ended up staying and had 30 offers. I think Georgia, LSU, A&M, like some big time offers from teams for him to come in and play, and decided to stay. And it's pretty upsetting that, and maybe the NCAA doesn't know all of the, like, how the whole thing unfolded, but if it is what I'm reading it is, he should be able to play. You don't want to punish the player for something like this.
Right. Yeah. I think that, and clearly Florida A&M, they need more resources, right? They need more people to help their student athletes. But yeah, suspending the kids when they just did what they were advised to do, that's not right.
Right.
Maybe there's more to it, but from everything I've read, there's not more to it.
Right. I guess we'll see. And hopefully you feel like the way the NCAA have been kind of in ass saving mode recently, you feel like something like this, if it's getting a lot of attention, they may make the right decision, but maybe I'm giving them too much credit.
Right. All right. For my winner of the week, I thought about going with USC because it takes such, I don't even know the word for it, just such arrogance to put out your team's hype video for the season and to have like the main focus of it be 2 players that played at Oklahoma. It was almost too good to be true, where we're just looking at I thought it was a parody video at start. So like I made sure it was from USC football's official Twitter. And I was like, oh my God.
There's a lot of parody accounts out there.
I was like, oh USC, my God, they really made Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield the focal point of like the first 30 seconds of their hype video for their season. I couldn't believe it, Ted. It was truly unbelievable.
It is. I don't know if that's a Lincoln Riley. If that was a Lincoln Riley decision, which he has to sign off on everything. That is a terrible move, and maybe the worst move he's made since he's been there. Well, I don't. It's just USC has a list of former players that it may be second to none. Their list of guys is incredible. The amount of players that have come through that place, and to have guys, and I know they had them in their NFL uniforms, but this is college football. Everyone knows where those guys played. I just don't understand it. I can't imagine any other blue blood program ever doing anything close to that. It'd be like, obviously, Venables putting some defensive players from Clemson in the OU hype video. There's no way that would ever occur.
No, hey, and I know that there's going to be this USC and OU thing for a long, long time. I understand that, but USC, just focus on you guys. You've got a rich tradition. Focus on that. Don't try to use Baker and Kyler. They're OU guys. They're never going to be USC guys. They're not going to show up to USC. Stop it. I still can't believe they did that. Unbelievable.
It's here's the thing too. Do you think anyone saw that video and said, "Oh, I didn't know Lincoln Riley coached Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray"?
Did you know they both went number 1 overall?
Yeah.
Everyone already knows that.
That's why you're there.
And
right?
If you're a USC fan, do you see that? You're like, yes, I love the fact that they're featuring OU guys to start our hype video. It's so odd to me.
I know.
Okay. I also thought about going with Live Golf as my winner of the week, even though it seems like the PGA Tour is fighting back, right? With some of the changes they've made. Losing Cam Smith it sucks, right? Number 2 player in the world. Must have made him a hell of an offer. And I saw an interview with him in Golf Digest. Basically said, hey, the money was clearly a big factor, but being able to spend some more time in Australia was very appealing to him. But this is a bummer, man. I like Cam Smith. The look, the mustache, everything about it. He seems like a cool dude. I didn't want him to leave.
Well, it's hard to convince anyone not to leave for more money and more time off. Right. That's hard to compete with.
I know.
So Harold Varner also went.
Yeah. And I respect Harold Varner for saying, hey, it's about the money. I respect him for just saying it out, making it very clear.
Yep.
But still a bummer. I'm going to miss Cam Smith on the PGA Tour.
You can watch him on the Live Golf Tour.
Yeah.
It's not as easy. PGA is on Sunday afternoon. It's on. It's easy to flip the TV on, and there it is. If something is streaming, I better really want to watch it.
Right. All right, but my winner of the week, I'm going Brett Yormark in the Big 12.
Yeah,
because according to Pete Thamel, Fox and ESPN have agreed to engage in discussions with the Big 12 about the league's next television contract. Remember, George Kliavkoff, the Pac-12 commissioner, he's been talking a big game, and he has openly talked about the advantage the Pac-12 has because they're next to market when it comes to the TV deal. Well, not so fast, Georgie boy, because Yormark in Big 12 making necessary moves, and this allows the Big 12 to actually get some numbers, not only for their current members, but for institutions they could be looking to add to the conference. So now they will have some real concrete numbers from the television networks. They'll understand their value. They'll understand the value that other places could bring to the conference. It's good information for the Big 12 to have. And I'm not sure it kneecaps the Pac-12 the way that some people think it does, but I know this. It's certainly not a negative for the Big 12, right? That the fact that Fox and ESPN said, yeah, let's talk.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think it feels like there's too much uncertainty right now with the Pac-12 with, some of those engagements, between Oregon and in the Big Ten. It's hard to put a TV contract together whenever you've got something like that going on. And you feel like the Big 12, as of right now, at least, feels like they're pretty set. Like maybe they could add if something goes down with the Pac-12, but like their current situation is good. The Pac-12s may not be. So yeah, it's not very difficult to figure out why the Big 12 is maybe the first to be engaged by Fox and ESPN. I think it's interesting though, whenever you kind of like just talking about USC, since this whole Lincoln Riley move to USC, it's been like celebrated by ESPN like no other, right? Because everyone is pushing for that West Coast.
Well, and they've got that big ESPN studio out there in LA,
right? And they want that big chunk of viewership out there. Well, with USC going to the Big Ten, and they're totally cut out of that pie, I'm interested to see if USC loses the ESPN cheerleader that they've had the last 8 months.
That is interesting. And this whole thing, it feels like it's become Pac-12 versus Big 12, right? But it's probably really more a Fox versus ESPN.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, ESPN didn't get a piece of those Big 10 rights. So I'm interested to see, what type of moves they're going to make regarding the Big 12 and then being able to enter in these very early negotiations when you look at how this traditionally has gone from a timeline perspective. But just from what I could gather from reading a couple different reports, it seems like the most likely thing for the Big 12 is some type of short-term extension that they could agree to that would kick in once this current deal is up in 2025, which clearly leads to the most important question: what does that all mean for OU and Texas going to the SEC? So I don't know. A lot has to happen, but I thought it was funny because the Pac-12 is they've been, oh, yep, we're up next. Suck it, nerds. And now the Big 12's like, no, we're going to talk to him too. We're going to get a realistic picture of what's going on. So,
well, I'll tell you what I think what it means for OU and Texas. I think they'll be in the SEC next year. I'm at 90% that they'll be in the SEC next year. And the other thing is everyone talks about how good Oklahoma State is depends on Mike Gundy's mood and like how happy he's been and how jovial and how he interacts with the media. Well, he must have a really good team this year. I think that's true, but I think the biggest part of it is OU is gone and the Big 12 is about to get a TV deal that a lot of people think they're going to make significantly more money than they make right now. So you put a TV deal together like that where they're getting more money and his biggest rival, in-state rival that, he's had this really stood between Oklahoma State really getting over the hump. Of course he's thrilled, man. This is the best it's ever been for Oklahoma State.
Yeah. Gundy's in a good mood. There's nothing wrong with that.
$55 million a year is one of the numbers that I heard someone throwing out about the next Big 12 deal.
We'll see. Yeah, but the negotiations are awesome. Underway. So
can you imagine? Like, I don't know if they would get a full share right out of the gate, but can you imagine what that means for like a UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, these teams to get that amount of influx of money? Yeah.
BYU, who's been living that independent life.
Game changer.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how it all works out. And I promise, we'll talk about games from now on. That's the last time we're going to be talking TV rights for a while. All right. For my loser of the week, I thought about going with Iowa fans, man, because Kirk Ferentz named Spencer Petras their starting quarterback. And if you're an Iowa fan, you kind of just have to be going, can we not just have a good quarterback? Like, and I know they won the Big Ten West last year, but Petras, he was 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Can they not bring a transfer in that's better than that? I just don't understand it. It's got to be very frustrating for Iowa fans.
I got to tell you, I'm just reading that and thinking about it. Ferentz has been there since 99. Can you think, like, who's the best quarterback that they've had? Am I missing someone? Is there someone obvious?
No.
How does that happen? Like, you should fall into a stud. I mean, they've had some really good teams throughout the years. To not have a game-changing talent at quarterback that entire tenure, it's beyond the point of bad luck. It's bad recruiting and bad maneuvering and not being active in the transfer portal. There's plenty of good things to offer at Iowa. Iowa State they've had a couple at least throughout that time.
Yeah, Purdy made the Niners. But CJ
Seneca
Beathard?
Wallace.
CJ Beathard? I should probably just Google it. Nathan Stanley? Was that right? A couple years back? Dude, they haven't had good quarterback play.
That's wild.
I know. All right, but my loser of the week, Trey Lance. What an awkward situation. I don't care what the 49ers say. What an awkward situation for Trey Lance. So the 49ers restructured Jimmy Garoppolo's contract in order to keep him in San Francisco to be Trey Lance's backup. So Jimmy G's guaranteed, between $6.5 and $7 million. There are incentives in there that could get him up to $16 million. And if they want to trade him, he has to approve the team that they're trying to trade him to. And I guess if you're the 49ers, you're thrilled, right? You've now got the best backup quarterback in all of football. But if you're Trey Lance, this has to be a little awkward, man. You're supposed to be the guy, but now if you play poorly, the fans are going to turn on you quickly, and they're going to want to see Jimmy G out there. I just think it creates a really weird situation there in San Francisco.
It does. It is. We love you. We think you're going to be great, but we need an insurance policy. It is.
What do you think they say? Hey, you could get hurt. You could get hurt. What do they say? Because, and the thing that kind of sets some alarms off for me is Kyle Shanahan has mentioned publicly he wishes he could get Trey Lance some more time, some more work before they start playing games that matter. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement from your head coach and your play caller.
No, you feel like you would, if you truly feel like this is the guy, you're going to offload that massive contract and surround him with some weapons or offensive line or hey, if this is our guy, we're starting a championship window. Let's offload this deal. And that's here.
We've got, what happened here? Unplug the headset. Oh, the YouTube people are going to love this. How'd that happen? Did you step on it? Oh, no, still not working.
Yeah, I stepped on it and
there we go.
I stepped on it and unplugged my my headphones. Sorry about that.
I'm leaving that in, by the way. That's too good. Just the look on your face, it was like panic, anger, and embarrassment all in one.
Yeah, that is it's just gonna go that way sometimes,
Be like that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it is a weird situation. I like Trey Lance. I mean, haven't seen a whole lot of him. I like his talents. He's big, he's physical, he can move around the field really well. got a great arm. They've got some really good weapons there for him to work with, but you just got to wonder, like, confidence wise. I think a lot of times the biggest step people make is whenever they know they're the man, they know it's their team, their coach, their offense, everyone is all in on them being the guy, and you just kind of take off from there. If you've got a guy like Jimmy G just kind of shadowing, still hanging out, the locker room is going to be kind of split. I feel it takes away from your guy.
Yeah, I just think that if he's your guy, you got to make him feel like the guy. Now maybe you say, "Hey, you're the guy. Like, don't even worry about the backup, whoever it is." But it sort of feels like the 49ers telling everyone they don't fully believe in Trey Lance. And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's just a really odd thing to do, especially after the 49ers pretty much said, hey, we're going to do whatever we got to do to get rid of Jimmy Garappolo and unload that contract. Now, no quarterbacks ended up getting hurt or anything like that. I understand there's there are some roadblocks to them trading him, but I don't know, just not great, man. It is it's not great. And speaking of not great, rumors swirling, little late edition here, right?
Yep. Yeah.
We hinted at it earlier.
Yeah, I guess it's starting to kind of leak out there about Wanya Morris possibly not being available for the upcoming football game. And I don't know. I don't know many of the details, but first thing I'll say about it is this. Used to, this would be something that would kind of have us in a panic, right? But from what we've heard about the depth and the way guys have come along, that you feel like you're in a pretty good spot here regardless.
Yeah, and if it's a suspension just for this game or just for the first two games, and it's disappointing because Wanya has been a guy that he has really gotten his stuff together off the field, but you're gonna want him back for Nebraska, right? These first two games, they're layups. I mean, they are. I'm not gonna pretend that they're not. But when you talk about, okay, we need real depth, I think that that week 3 matchup, hopefully he takes care of what he needs to take care of off the field in order to be available. Now, whether he starts that game, I don't know, right? I mean, BV, you talk about the accountability he wants from his guys. This is not a good way for Wanya Morris to get into the good graces. This is disappointing, man, because I really thought he had figured everything out.
Yeah. Well, these things are going to happen, and it's you don't know. I don't know how long it's going to go. I don't know, frankly, any of the details about it, but you'd prefer it happen now, right? And someone can work into that role and maybe earn the spot, so I don't know. It's better than it coming up without you knowing about it and kind of thrust on you in the middle of a season whenever, the schedule may look a little different for your opponent that week or in the coming weeks.
Yeah.